Welcome, everybody. This is the Handcrafted podcast. I'm your host, Cam, a.k.a. the coolest kid out.
Cam rubbing his thigh like Gayle King when he introduced me. Boy,
If you guys didn't know, I have a guest. For folks who are here for the first time, let me first welcome you, explain to you guys a little bit what Handcrafted is about. These are informational and inspirational conversations that I'm having with my friends about how they have not only built their craft, but how they've come to be who they are as people in the world. These are conversations that I have with them regularly, so it's something that I felt was just important to bring to the world and to bring to light. And today, I have one of my nearest and dearest, a big brother to me. I don't call many people my big brother. Or even big brother like.
It's 'cause you're sensible. You're not one of these niggas calling somebody big brother and you just met them at the bus stop 5 minutes ago.
I don't big bro people upon meeting them.
You calling them big bro, they 5 months younger than you. That's not your style, and I appreciate it.
Thank God that's not my style. I don't think we would have made it.
No, not because I'm not 5 months younger than you. From there, would have been a non-starter.
But my good friend, my brother, I call you the influence to the influential, just one of the smartest, one of the kindest people that I've had the fortune of knowing, the fortune of calling a friend, one of the most giving people, most selfless people, brother Jamal Jimoh. Welcome.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate this.
Yes, sir.
I'm excited for this. Congratulations on the launch.
Thank you.
Happy to talk about a few things. Might tell a joke or two. I don't know. I got to see how I feel.
Yeah, hopefully we can get through this without laughing the entire time.
Good luck.
But I know that's not.
That's no.
It's not how we roll.
I wrote some stuff on the ride. I didn't laugh. If you don't laugh, that means I failed at what I'm. No, but thank you for having me. I'm excited to have this. Just to talk to you. Period.
Yes, sir.
It's always an insightful combo. So. Looking forward to seeing what's ahead.
Yes, sir. And like I said, I always learn from you anytime we talk, whether it's in passing, it's a short, 10-minute phone call, it's a lunch. So I want to start where I start usually with all my guests. Sure. Is we start at a very specific time and age in your life, which is 7 years old.
Wow.
And we start at 7 because, in my opinion, at least in my life, 7 was when I kind of started to know what the world was like, right? I had my relationship with my parents. I was going to school, so I had friends. I had friends in my neighborhood. I had relationships with my teachers. If you went to church, you had relationships with people in church. So you kind of started to know. You were watching TV. You knew what was happening on your block. You knew what was happening around you. Mm-hmm. So you started to really kind of know what things were about.
Yeah.
So 7-year-old Maul, take me there. Where is he? What is he doing? What is he into? What's life like for 7-year-old Maul?
7 years old. I gotta clear my throat, and COVID make me afraid to clear my throat.
No, we're gonna normalize clearing throats and coughing again.
Thank you. I'm like, damn, I'm about to speak, and I got allergies. I was like, niggas gonna look at me crazy. My post-nasal drip fucking up. It's normally winter where I'm from, but I'm in LA, so it's different now. So thank you for making me feel at home with clearing my throat. I feel
we're good.
I feel natural again. Hold on, let me take a sip of water. I'm feeling loose. 7-year-old Maul. I'm in Far Rockaway, elementary school. Really getting my first true introduction to the dynamics of, like, the initial introduction to the dynamics of peer groups. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Far Rockaway in the 80s, not the safest place,
right?
For kids, not the safest place, period. Mm-hmm. So as a young fat kid, you learn early on that the company you keep, but also the way that you carry yourself. I feel like I learned that lesson fairly. I got deep glimpses into it early in life, just because, it was I caught the bus at Bay Towers
Right.
across the street from Beach Channel High School,
Right.
though I was royalty there. Junior high school is right down the block. 180 is, a few blocks away.
Right.
And you still get those kids who are dickhead 12-year-olds
Yeah.
and have no problem bothering 7 and 8-year-olds who are waiting for the bus. So just understanding that, just kind of understanding the way that you speak to people, the way that you kind of it informed humor early on and informed it just because you know where to get your spots, like where to get your joints off. It informed fight style,
Right.
because you pick and choose, you pepper in.
Yeah.
So just a lot of awareness,
Yep.
a very early understanding of being aware of surroundings, being outside of, I think, what kids are normally taught. I'd like to think, and from what I've experienced since, that was a very early, between my sister, who's 13 years my senior, letting me know and like what she'd experienced, what she saw, and kind of taking me under her wing in that way. And my mother, who was a teacher at Beach Channel, letting me know and just kind of keeping me informed. I was always made to be very aware, using my intelligence, using my savvy, and really cultivating and building them from a fairly early time.
Yeah. So that's one of the, I feel like that's one of the advantages of growing up in New York, right? Like you are, or maybe some would see it as a disadvantage, where you're forced to kind of be keen and be aware early. You have to be aware of your surroundings at all times.
Absolutely.
You have to just, like you have to always be looking, peeking around the corner, like seeing, noticing everybody that's in the room. So you painted a picture of Far Rockaway. For those of our viewers who don't know, Far Rockaway is in Queens, New York. Far Rockaway is a very different part of Queens, New York.
Yes, it is.
So I want to talk a little more about like your block in your neighborhood. What does that look like? Are you on a block with housing, or are you
in Bay Towers, two buildings that sit right on Beach 100th Street, a couple of blocks from the train station, right off the Parkway, across the street from the high school, next to a gas station. Like it looked like Metropolis to everybody but Superman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, so it was its community. And like there was everything in the midst of those, like in those two buildings. You had, it was life.
Yeah.
As I knew it, and there were all of these dynamics. There was my sister, the bully, who's, all of my sister, it was maybe 5'1", might have been soaking wet in Tim's on with a cinder block tied around her neck. She may have been 47 pounds. And
But she was a bully.
Scrappy as a motherfucker. She just didn't take shit because she had that chip on her shoulder. So like I got it early with like, this is how you regard and respect people, and when they don't, this is what you do.
Yep.
But so it was okay, and like had kind of her friends because she was in good with, like, she went to the high school across the street. She went to junior high nearby. But that was the world, man.
Yeah.
It was our building, the building across the way. Like, knew some of the people, would go over there. But that shit, going to the building across the way was like living in Brooklyn and dating somebody in Harlem. Like, that was a long.
That was a
distance.
trek.
Yeah, like
I'm
gonna go outside across the playground and go. Nah, like we meet in the playground.
Right.
We meet by the Sphere, or like that's it. Like I might see you around.
Yeah.
Like, Playland was around then, so
Playland.
it felt like the world, from the beach to the harbor. Really from the beach to the other side of Beach Channel. That was the world.
Yeah.
And sometimes you got into a car and explored a little bit more, but everything was kind of in that cluster, and it was home, and it was amazing.
Yeah. So it's like this, you have this area, right? It's like the wonderful world of Far Rock, where it's small in a sense, right? In the grand scheme of the world, it's small, but you have everything that you would ever need as a kid there. I want to talk
It was
a little
small,
more.
and then it felt like it felt even smaller still because this is just like Bay Towers and like maybe 2 or 3 blocks in either direction at best.
Yeah.
And it's only 3 blocks in 3 directions really because there's water on the other side. And the beach to the other side. So, but even outside of that, like my aunt lived in Bay, and she's in Woodmere. So you know what I mean? Like there's still like, pardon, Edgemere. But there's still like, there's still the world of Rockaway outside of
your world in Rockaway.
Yeah.
And so, in this world, right? What are you into? Like what music are you listening to? I know you like sports, but like what sports are you into? Like what's kind of like the environment? Like what does your room look like?
My toys everywhere.
Okay.
The absolute picture of spoiled when you have a sister who has a job, so she makes sure you're good.
I know that life.
Your mother, absolutely, and my mother adores me to no small end, and my grades are good, and she's an educator, and that's kind of the currency. It's like, hey, you're doing what you're supposed to do. You're not being a bad kid. Your grades are good.
Yep.
You are in the 99th percentile. You know,
go
shopping. You know, like when there's an opportunity to, you go shopping. You get a little something nice for yourself. Not the neatest kid by any stretch of the imagination. These summers where I was sent off to camp would be the summers where my room finally got clean. And then within minutes of coming home, I absolutely decimated the good work that was done.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mom and Joel.
I'm sure that's not the first time you've apologized to them.
Oh no, I do it frequently. I still Roombas for everybody to apologize for my transgressions. And yeah, I mean, I saw the universe and I saw all that was magical about it through my 2 closest attachments. So through my mother and my sister. My sister, I mean, to this day, my sister is still the coolest person that I've ever known in my life. And as a kid, like, she was as cool as it was.
Yeah.
Like, you know, she has her crew. She's hanging out. Like, I know, I've experienced the extension of having more older brothers and sisters because of her. So, like, I have these figures around me and, like, you know, you get to hang out with the big kids. It's like on weekends, you get to troop to Roosevelt Field Mall and, you know, you go to the bus station across from the main library in Jamaica and then take the bus from there. And like, I had the world, or felt like, and I did really, had the world at my fingertips just by virtue of my sister who was purposeful about taking me under her wing and about showing me that. So that was, my room was He-Man. It was all the toys.
Transformers?
Oh God, I was a Voltron guy. I did do the Transformers, so I had some of the, but I was Voltron all day. And you know, was able to get the things because hype beasts weren't a thing.
Right.
And
they weren't reselling Voltron yet.
Right.
Okay. They would resell Voltron today.
Oh God, if I had the toys that I had today, this wouldn't be. You would be having this conversation with a hologram.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to afford you. Oh
yeah, if I had this conversation, I would have sent. There would have been a lookalike. I would have sent one of my. You'd be sitting here with a 95-year-old Dominican dude who only answers to the name Omal. But yeah, no, it's I was I mean I saw I was blessed. Yeah. Not because of the things, blessed because of the love that was poured into me. And on the counter side of blessed, because I don't think the two were explored enough, I was spoiled as shit.
Yeah.
And you know, I was one of the few kids that had, you know, you had a couple of pairs of kicks. It wasn't just the outdoor kicks. Like, I would switch them up, like, and it was, and I went to summer camp, and I did all of the, I did all of the activities, and never really took into account, like, there were trips to Disney, like trips to Disney where, like, you stay at a Disney resort and you take the monorail around.
Right.
And you do the shit where when I went on a family vacation to Disney a couple of years ago, I spent conservatively, the next 8 months, looking at my credit card statement.
Yep.
Like, oh,
Yep.
this is what you were doing? And you would take
Yeah.
it, and my mother would take me, and my sister would be granted. My sister's a bit older, but
Yep.
she would take my cousin. Like, she would
Yep.
take, like, she was taking field trips there. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, on an educator salary.
Yeah.
So I became very aware later in life of the efforts of my heroes.
Yep.
Not realizing that they were my heroes or the reasons why they were my heroes, because I really had access to it all. I did sleepaway camp. I went to camp 1 year and was only going to go I went 1 year for 2 weeks. That was my first year going. Came back.
How old are you?
When my first time going to camp, I was 9.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, I was 8.
Okay.
The first time I went to camp. Came back, same clothes, orange teeth, orange furry teeth. Sorry, not the same clothes, because I was wearing patchwork rainbow swim trunks.
Yep.
I've posted the picture, and a baseball jacket.
Yep. I've seen that picture.
Orange furry teeth, and I came back from camp. That was all I had left.
Yeah.
I had a fucking ball.
Yeah.
And my mom was like, all right, good. You enjoyed yourself.
Man.
Like, hosed me down. And we got back to life. And sent me back the next year.
Yep.
Again, like, it wasn't the most expensive camp, but it's still fucking summer camp.
Right.
There are supplies. And I was going to go for a session and a half next year. So I was there for 3 weeks. Called and it's like, hey, like, can I stay? She's like, we'll figure it out.
Yep.
I go about and play. I get a call. I go to the office. I'm okay to stay for the summer. No idea how it happens. They come up to visit. They drop off a trunk of clothes. They take me shopping. I get a super soaker. Like, we do all the things. And again, no real understanding in the moment of the heroics, but looking back, and I'm just like, huh, okay.
So you're bathed in love from.
I was the baby. I was the baby, and I was treated as such.
Yeah.
And I never fucked the bag up.
Right.
I waited.
You didn't mess that up until you got.
Yeah, not until I was older.
Yeah.
I waited till later in life to fuck the bag up.
Yeah.
And then recover it. But yeah, no, I was covered. I was taken care of. I was loved and poured into. Still am.
Yeah.
Still am. But I was also spoiled as all shit.
Yeah. And that's so big because if you told your story to someone, they would say, oh, you came from humble beginnings, but you had absolutely everything that you needed and then some. So like just having that support system has played a huge role in who you've come to be, as Jamal and as a man. And so as you're getting all this love from mom, from your sister, you're taking care of business in school. You're doing what you need to do. So to your point, you're not messing the bag up. High school comes around. What changes from early childhood, middle school, elementary to high school, if anything?
I can't say anything changed necessarily. No, that's not fair. Entitlement came in.
Okay.
And I felt like I was deserving of what I became more aware of the shit that I was doing and why I deserved.
Yep.
And that's where, so there was no more humility around it. There was no more surprise around it. There was expectation. And the understanding that it came easy, knowing that I was becoming more acutely aware of my intelligence and my abilities, and knowing that I didn't have to study to go and ace a test, but attendance is still a part of a grade.
Right.
Homework is still a part of a grade.
Right.
So kind of checking all the boxes. Checking all the boxes in terms of like performance, but not checking any of the boxes in terms of accountability.
Yep.
That's what began to happen. And, I just began tricking off the dope. Like I was in Hunter, was doing, started off doing well, and then like realized that I could slack and would just have to go to Stuyvesant summer school, which was a cakewalk. it like a cakewalk, especially compared to the rigorous course load
At Hunter.
Right. And I was like, all right, fuck it. If I can get by, and I began trying to outsmart the system, which is the absolute downfall of anyone who fancies themselves intelligent.
Yep.
If you outsmart the system without first finding a way to make the system work for you, then you are doomed for failure. And so, I experienced, really for the first time, I experienced what felt like failure.
And what did that do to you?
Made me deathly afraid of my mother. To be quite honest, like, getting kicked out of Hunter.
Yep.
And like seeing the hurt that caused, seeing the disappointment, not knowing that prior, like not kind of knowing that feeling.
Because you had never really encountered that from her.
No, the worst that happened was me throwing a tantrum about not being able to get a toy because she was tired.
Yeah.
Like she was exhausted. She worked long hours. She did after school programs. She taught college now. She was mentoring and chaperoning college tours, and she was still teaching. I had a report card that was perfect. The report card was semi-perfect. It was 98 as opposed to 100.
Right.
Like there was literally one A- in the midst of it. And I was like, all right, cool. I did this. Where's my reward?
The expectation.
That entitlement.
Yep.
Not realizing that everything that you've gotten up until now has been an absolute blessing.
Yeah.
And you should appreciate and regard it as such.
Yeah.
So yeah, that crept in, and so that wasn't disappointment though. That was, you're being a selfish kid.
Yeah.
Actually seeing disappointment and knowing that I squandered an opportunity. And in that moment, you can't really see past squandering that opportunity.
Right.
You just know, like, that's your brick wall.
Right.
And there is no seeing past it. It's just this insurmountable obstacle.
Right.
And you have to find some way.
Right.
And, in the way that few entities are faithful as God and as a mother's love.
Yep.
She's like, all right, so here's what we're going to do. She's like, you're not going to go to another high school because if you got bored at Hunter and you didn't do what, like, if you had room to fuck around at Hunter, you are going to find room to become an arch criminal anywhere else.
Right.
Because you're going to have nothing but time because you're going to be bored senseless. It's like, you'll get your GED, you'll go to college. And so this is 16. Sorry, this is 15 going into 16. I get my GED, and I am 16. Sorry, I get my GED, and I'm college bound.
And in that process, your mother had she knew, obviously your mother knew you better than anyone, but she had the foresight to know that you would just be wasting your time going back to a high school,
100%.
and there was potential for you to go down other paths that weren't going to lead you to being a productive member of society.
I think she saw a lot of what happened in the kids at her school. She saw what happened at after-school programs where she taught. I saw what happened in after-school programs where I'd worked.
Right.
I was working on. While I was at Hunter, I would just go across town. Not go across town. It's not really across town, but I would go to 120th and First.
Yep.
To the school over there and work at the El Faro Beacon after school, and saw you see older kids, and you kind of like you're made acutely aware of what privilege has shown you, and it's either privilege by way of a great deal of what I was given, but also a great deal of what I knew and what I was capable of had offered me this, and over me kind of this room to operate and to kind of exist outside of traditional constraints. And my mom knew that, in any sort of traditional system or in any sort of system where, I couldn't go off campus for lunch.
Yeah.
Or where I couldn't determine my own schedule.
Yeah.
or I couldn't choose an elective in high school.
Yeah.
Like,
It wasn't going to hold you.
she knew it was a recipe for disaster.
Yeah. So shout out to Mom, which
Always.
she'll be getting all the shout outs in
Always.
this episode.
No,
Phenomenal woman.
I'm couldn't be more grateful
Yeah.
for her.
So you have your GED. Mm-hmm. You're 16 years old. Mm-hmm. So you've cleared your first hurdle, right? Like you have your first major failure in life, which was getting kicked out of Hunter. You managed to finish school, but now you're a 16-year-old about to go to college. Mm-hmm. What school do you pick and why?
I didn't pick. My mom picked.
Okay.
Nassau Community College because they were the one school that would accept a 16-year-old that late in the game.
Got it.
And she was just like, if you go, it was like playing at a prep program.
Mm-hmm.
So that went out. And so went, passed everything, realized that when you're 16 on a college campus, they don't ask a ton of questions.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a lot of, and still community college, but college campus all the same.
Yep.
So spent way more time hanging out and getting a job and getting money and it's not COVID. And promise it's not COVID. Getting money and like getting fresh and, realizing that, I can get by with, doing this, but not fully understanding, but maybe not giving much credence to the fact that there's an absence threshold.
Yep.
So there comes failure number 2. And this time my sister pulled into the chat.
Okay.
And because now money has been wasted. It's not just an opportunity now. It's now you've thrown away your mother's money.
Yeah.
And here's where you will not have the room to fuck up again. Because if you upset our mother, I will hunt you down like a nigga in the street.
Yeah. And that's not what you want.
Nah, you listen when a killer speaks.
Yeah.
You absolutely listen when a killer speaks. And she, I couldn't help. Like, it came from the most honest and loving place, and I'm so grateful for it. But it was, I was fucking up.
Yeah.
This was strike 2. And they were, they're not 2, minor strikes.
Yeah.
I didn't go down looking.
Yeah.
This was strike 2, and I stepped to the other side of the plate, swung, and hit the umpire in the face with the bat, and then just laughed and stood like it was an egregious strike 2.
Yeah. Especially with such a concentration in the household on education.
Education was the one thing. That was always my... It's like, it's great that you're brilliant. Go ahead, be a genius. But if the schoolwork doesn't match up,
right?
And I didn't get that in elementary school because elementary school was like, I was there.
Yep.
I did everything. I everything happened the way it was supposed to.
Yep.
It didn't happen early on in Hunter because I was there. I was doing what I was supposed to. It came on eventually, and that should have been the wake up call. In hindsight, it's very easy to say. It's like, oh yeah, well I could have done better then.
Right.
And I didn't. And, it was, so they were 2 very large, noticeable, ugly strikes that felt like they should have gotten me completely out.
Should have ended you.
Yeah.
But they didn't.
Because there's something about it's just mothers.
Yeah.
The way that a black woman will pour into you. It's just that heroism. And I don't take any second of it for granted. So it should have been the end. But no, it was just 2 strikes, as it were.
2 strikes. You absolutely did not want a third.
Hell no.
So
to this day, I'm still afraid of getting that.
So you haven't hit the third yet.
I've toyed with a third.
So
I've teased a third.
Okay.
I should have had a third.
Okay.
The thing is, I didn't strike out in the same fashion. So I haven't educationally struck out.
Got it.
Education, I did what I was supposed to do from then on.
So
went to Old Westbury, transferred to Pace,
Yep.
Grad school at NYU. I did what I was supposed to do, made sure that she never had to touch Pocket again, like after Old Westbury, pardon me, make
Yep.
sure she never had to touch Pocket again.
Yep.
So I did what I was supposed to do from then on. So educationally, never did it. Briefly, at Old Westbury, I worked at Sears. I worked at Sears when the first PlayStation came out, and I tried to get a PlayStation without necessarily paying for a PlayStation, and that didn't go accordingly.
Yep. Usually doesn't.
Yeah, and that is why I am not a master criminal, because I failed miserably.
Yeah.
And that was strike one in that vein. But that was as good as an out, because I
good.
never had to. I haven't so much as ordered CDs from Columbia House since then. I refuse. I didn't start buying weed until I was in LA and it was legal.
Yep.
I've kept it. I've been so down the line.
Yep.
I once miswrote the last number of my social security number.
By accident.
Corrected it instantly on my tax forms.
Yep.
I wanted no problems.
Yeah.
Just because there's always... Life is not lived without some semblance of healthy fear.
Yep.
Early on in Hunter, I had a moment where I'm feeling myself.
Yep.
I'm away from home. I'm in school in the city. I'm doing this is me. This is free. Can't nobody. I'm an adult. I'll curse at you if I want to.
Right.
I'll do not at a teacher, but I'll curse at a student if I want to. This is me. I'm on this block. There's a word that I don't use. There's a word that anyone will tell you that they've never heard me use, and it's the B word. I don't use it. It's just not in my vocabulary for a very specific reason. I was in the hallway at Hunter in 7th grade, and I'm sorry, this is 8th grade. Pardon me. And I said who knows what was happening? I don't know. Probably two 13-year-olds being 13-year-olds, and one of them, me, being an absolute dickhead.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, whatever. You use the B word. My sister's 13 years older than me. So she's 26 at the time. She walks around the corner.
She just happened to be there.
On the 3rd floor of Hunter College High School. She walks around the corner.
Yeah.
And she looks at me. And she says, does Mom know you use that language? Now, my first thought, I didn't say it because I don't have a death wish.
Yeah.
Where the fuck did you come from? My sister was living in Harlem with her then boyfriend, her now husband. She came to drop off money for me because my mother realized that I didn't have lunch money that day. And so...
Yeah, that's how the Lord works, though.
She comes to bring me... She's like, yeah, Mom wanted me to bring you some money, so I here you go. Well, if I never use the word again, you can't hear me use it again.
Yeah.
And so, so there is this healthy fear that probably should have been a healthy fear when I wasn't going to class or when I was trying to steal a PlayStation.
Right.
But it wasn't, and these things are, instilled in us by whatever methods, and thankfully they are with me now.
Yeah.
And, I'm not without my angels keeping watch at constant. I'm not without an understanding that it is not just me that I am out here for. There's always the knowledge that my name has my mother's prayers on it.
Yeah.
My name has my sister's blood on it. I am not carrying on for just me. I have nieces and nephews. I have family, and everything that we do it's a cornerstone of reputation.
Absolutely.
And reputation is a cornerstone of legacy, and it is a cornerstone of success. And at no point can I bring any of those I can't put them in jeopardy.
Yeah.
Because I have, and I've damn near struck out doing it. And it's just not something that I can't afford to do it again, just because I couldn't afford that disappointment for people who, without them, I wouldn't be here.
There's no you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you said a lot, but you said something as far as
talk a lot, I'm
Karen.
sorry.
It's fine. I want you to talk a lot.
Okay, appreciate it.
But you
Told me
said
this is a safe place.
Yeah, it was the safest place. You just said, how your name carries, how your reputation carries. And, you carry your family with you. And at some point in your road to manhood, you start making a name for yourself. Did that start in college or was it post-college?
The work is incremental. So it happens, it starts after I get out of my own way in middle school and start to come into some sort of semblance of being a human being in high school, in college. And it was the realization through therapy and just a lot of just kind of discovery of self was that I was so concerned with the cool because or let's not call it cool because cool is a lofty expectation to put on oneself. I was more concerned with the personality end of it.
Yep.
Because the intelligence end of it always felt so firmly in tune.
Right. So you felt like you had to play catch up with the other piece.
So I would overexert. I would do, and that's where the awkwardness. That's where me yelling down the hallway to a young lady in a derogatory fashion comes about at the age of 12, 13. So 13, because I was in 8th grade. So that's where it's like it's that showing out and trying to be, trying to be something other than who you were.
Right.
I begin to settle in. Certainly, 9th grade JV basketball, finding my core group in Hunter.
Yep.
With Brian, who's still a very, very close friend to this day. Finding home there, finding really settling into what my community was, whether it was through theater or sport or band, and really kind of getting that baseline helped those initial understandings of who I was. Further down the line, having those friends, having kind of like that core friend group with Brian, with Adrian, who is the mother of my twin nephews.
Yes, beautiful nephews.
They are grown fucking men, and it frightens me.
Which is crazy. I think our nephews are around the same age.
They are.
Yeah,
They
Brady's
absolutely-
8. I think your nephew's like 8 or 9. Yeah.
So they
Crazy.
are. Oh no, the onesie champ is 7 going on 8.
Yeah, so him and
Aiden
my
and
nephew
Austin
Brady are the same age.
Yeah,
Yep.
Aiden and Austin are teenagers almost.
Yes, those.
That's
yes.
fucking frightening.
I watched them grow up too.
Yeah, that's anybody who's seen my IG page. I've had somebody send me a DM and be like, "Hey, so," and I know her. She was EP on the show I was on. It's like, "Hey, so I just saw your nephews on a field trip. They're being super good. I didn't want to creep, but like I kept an eye out, and I was like, you know what? On one hand, amazing.
Yes.
But on the other hand, I can imagine who else might have seen, like who just sees from my page, be like, oh, I know those kids.
Yep.
There's always sort of the worry that you're just putting your loved ones
Exposing them to a world of danger.
Yeah, there you go.
That's why my sister don't send me pictures until they've been posted already, because she knows it's going up.
Filter, and I don't post with locations for
Yeah.
that very reason. You're not going to pull up on one of mine. Mostly just for my conscience, because everybody in my family carries that shit. So that'd be on you. Now it's my fault that you got gunned down, because I made sure you was putting the jackpot. I baited you, knowing that you was going to show up and do something stupid. My bad. So from JV on, it was incremental, and at different spots with different interactions, with different friendships, and with different understandings with family, I began to pick up pieces of who would I eventually become. So just understanding kindness, understanding charity, understanding that no matter what you have, that it's always possible to do for someone else. Spirituality being a part of that, and community being a part of it. Those that kind of brick by brick at various stops in life, and I'm truly blessed because I've been at no shortage for those moments of enrichment that have helped to build up that that kind of understanding and that awareness.
Yeah, and that's huge. And you're not short on intelligence. You're not short on passions, things that you actually like now. How do you then kind of hone in on what it is you want to do professionally? Or do you not? Does it just kind of fall into your lap? Is it something that you just wake up one day and say, I want to do this? Avoidance. Okay.
I, after college, didn't know what I was going to do.
Like everyone.
I was so, and I had an idea of what I wanted to do. I had an idea of what I was supposed to be doing. When you come from, when your background is a bit more humble financially, when you grow up poor, you have an understanding of what these things are supposed to be that you take on. I grew up in Rockaway. I saw policemen. I saw firefighters. I wasn't doing either one of those. Because of and taking nothing away from policemen and firefighters, but a certain intelligence quotient that affords you to think differently and instills different schools of thought within you. Again, nothing from I respect those groups and have friends in those groups, but that wasn't what I was steered towards. It was from early on. Oh, Jamal's good at math. You could be a doctor. You could, you're so good with words. You could be a lawyer. And so that was the early. That was kind of the early understanding. So once I got back on track educationally, I thought it was law school. I thought it was law school. I took my LSATs, bodied my LSATs, and that's the thing. Like once I figured out the showing up to class thing, everything else fell apart. 'Cause as far as fucking tests, I am the standardized test don. Like I am phenomenal. I am 1550 on the SATs and 176 on the LSATs. Like I am that standardized test. And so I thought it was going to be law school. Ended up taking. I backed into grad school. I really stumbled into it in the most astonishing way. I was like, oh, well, I still love music. I don't want to, this is coming fresh off of economics and marketing in undergrad. I was like, I still love music. Maybe there is still something there. I'm still going to open mics. I'm still like exploring my musical loves and, still there may be hope for rap out there just because I win, freestyle competitions $300 at a time. I was like, oh, there's a future here. There's not in that way, at least.
Which is, I don't think many people know that you rap.
Yeah, it's probably better that way. It's just better that way.
I don't think I knew that until like 3 or 4 years into our friendship.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's not like,
you didn't lead with that.
I'm not, I'm going to hand you my fucking demo?
Nah, I mean,
like, hey, man, good to meet you. Check this flash drive. There's 3 tracks on there. You're really going to love this one, but the third one got kind of like an R&B feel to it.
If you had some fire, you could have slid that at the bar.
If I had some fire.
Okay, so you didn't have no fire.
No, I had fire.
Okay.
That's the thing. I had fire. It just wasn't, it wasn't, of course it was fire.
It wasn't good enough to hand to me. I got you.
And you hear my voice? Phenomenal. I can rap right now. I won't. But no, it's not something I lead with because it's you never want to be that guy. And I like working at labels. I ended up seeing guys like that. Like, yeah, man, it's just like it's crazy that you like. I get what you're saying about that marketing plan, but it's like more if it was something like this, and the nigga start bobbing his head like Rain Man. I was like, no, you're not gonna like. We're talking about business. What you're not gonna do is rap right now. Like, nah, because I would have done it different. Like, nah, I get it, man. We got the Jeezy album, but nah, here's what I would have done with it. And niggas always want instrumental packs, and I'm working in promo, so they come to me for instrumental CDs, and I was like, all right, nigga, go take your demo back to the mailroom.
Right. Go back to 47th and 7th.
Yeah, please. This has nothing to do with me. There's somebody in front of Foot Locker who will buy your CD, but sell it to them for $5 because they're not going to want to make change anyway, and it make no sense to get your 4 singles back.
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't talk about that on camera, so it didn't even connect that way.
No,
if y'all had the behind the scenes, that would have been crazy. It would have been phenomenal.
It's a great story.
So no, people didn't know I rap, and so I'm still doing, and I'm in the artist community. I'm working with artists. I have an understanding of business. I have an understanding of design, and so I begin working with talent essentially as a management stopgap. So kind of understanding how to interface with someone at a venue to collect money for a show, understanding like the bits and pieces, like knowing kind of the finer points. And I was that liaison. Like I was close enough because I was respected as artist. But then with conversation, they understood that like, oh, there's also this intelligence
the
and
business side to it.
the wit and the rhythm, the impeccable wit and rhythm. Like no, like really phenomenal. Like like 64 bars of fire wit. And so I began working with artists, and was doing that while I was taking, initially got introduced while I was taking summer classes at NYU. And it was just to explore music more. It was just like, maybe there's still something here. Like it's low risk. Let me take it. Let me give it a shot. I connected with a few members of faculty, was introduced to a dean, and was asked, like, would you be interested in pursuing a graduate? If there was some way to make it work, would you be interested in pursuing a graduate program? So went in through the School of Individualized Study, eventually matriculated through after my first semester to the School of Education, and got my MA in music business. Wow. All the while still going to open mics, still at Sin Sin doing Freestyle Mondays, still doing Freestyle Pyramid, still like around artists, and still picking up kind of those bits and pieces of practical sensibilities. So not necessarily working in an internship because niggas are broke.
Right, need money.
I'd rather get credits in the classroom and figure out the way that I'm going to get to my payday. So yeah, just worked and advised and got paid straight cash. Started picking up design as MySpace became more of a thing, and started putting glitter graphics in niggas' headers and pushing the top div down 85 pixels and helping them put music players up there and kind of doing all the practical stuff.
So you were Virgil before Virgil?
Oh, 100%. Okay. 100%.
Okay.
I was punching holes in my sneakers. I was doing all kinds of wild
Punching
shit.
holes.
There's one time I put paint splatters on a sweatshirt because I was trying to paint the door in my room.
Okay.
And that shit was some fly design shit. And I just feel like the nigga bit me.
Mesquine bitch shit.
We're gonna talk about that one time. It's a different podcast.
Okay.
That's not what we're here for.
Intellectual properties.
Niggas owe me money. Still not COVID, just laughter. Still not COVID, just laughter. So I'm doing this. I'm meeting people. I'm working practically, not on any large scale, and I get brought in-house. Well, no, first I take on a role. I go to a temp agency because I only understand getting in the building.
Right.
So I go to a temp agency and I get a gig at Universal Music Group, and it's admin services.
Okay.
And I was the dude who I sat at a desk, made sure that your photo was taken for your ID. So I have a temp ID.
Wow.
I have a paper ID. Doesn't have my picture on it.
Yep.
I got to show it with 3 other forms of ID, and I got to lift my sack when I come into security. But I'm taking everybody else's picture, so that they can be shown as staff. And and I'm like, I could take my own ID picture.
And is the Universal building at this point? It's still on Broadway.
This is on 8th.
8th.
This is Worldwide Plaza.
Yep.
So I'm there. I'm in the same building as Def Jam. Brian is at Def Jam at the time, so I would go and I would see my friend during, and I would take lunches, and I wouldn't stay by the desk, and it rubbed them the wrong way because I'm making friends. I'm meeting people. I'm being me.
Right.
I am picking up. I am exhibiting the social graces that I'd gathered through a tumultuous stretch of being a dickhead kid who eventually, came back into his own and learned how to speak to people and connect on a human level.
Yep.
So I'm speaking to people. I'm connecting with the ADR staff. I'm connecting with the label staff. I'm meeting folks. I'm going to kick it with Brian for a little bit during the day. I'm roaming the halls. I'm talking to Jeff Dixon at DTP. Like, I'm connecting in a meaningful way with folks. And that didn't sit well with with the woman who oversaw my position. She was white and hated. And yeah, so I was eventually let go.
Okay.
I was asked. Sorry, my assignment wasn't renewed.
Got it.
And at that point, I was the longest tenured. Just for kind of scope, I was there for a couple of months, and the longest anybody had been able to stay was 2 pay periods. So two-week stretches.
Yeah, so to say the screening was probably exhausting.
Yeah,
Alone.
it was. So I got asked to leave, and or didn't get asked to come back. I was like, all right, fuck it.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks later, I'm back in the building. Brian asked me, he was like, yo, what are you doing? Like, do you want to come in? Knowing that I knew new media, knowing that I knew that I was doing MySpace pages, that I took to things quickly.
Yeah.
He brings me in to work in the new media department.
Now, what year is this?
This is 2005.
So this is 2005 Def Jam.
2005 Def Jam.
So
Sean Carter is the president.
I was going to say, Sean Carter is the president. There's Young Jeezy. There's Rick Ross.
Rick Ross was there. Shakira Stewart,
Shakira Stewart.
There's
So it's like this all-star, not only roster of artists,
undeniable.
but you also have
Mariah Carey, Bon Jovi.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, no, it was undeniable.
So you walk into that, and you obviously you walk in there as yourself, as this person with immense social skills, a ton of business skills. Was any of that initially intimidating to you?
Yes.
What part of it was intimidating?
All of it.
Okay.
All of it. It felt like there was zero room. There was no room for any strikes. You know, everything had to be a base hit at minimum. But it felt like it should be a home run because all I ever saw were home runs.
Yep.
From the outside looking in, before being in the building, all I ever knew was that, oh, this sailed clear out the park. Everything that they do is 450 feet and better.
Yep.
So that was intimidating, just kind of not knowing if my standard of excellence would scale. Thankfully, it did.
Yeah.
And I was, you know, it's from digital campaigns with Rihanna, with Mariah, like overseeing the messaging for Island Pop and Island Rock, and being that, like, doing the marketing communication for the level, like do it for the label, pardon me, and being that kind of, being the voice and being the personification of that, and knowing the reach of that. It goes away quickly. Like, the jitters go away the moment that you have to perform.
Right.
And so, thankfully, performance kicked in, and the jitters kind of faded away, and I had zero worries about being myself at any point, and it was just me. And whether it was joking with staff and the whole, like, not like I would go and I would be me loudly at every single turn. Not loud in obnoxious fashion, but loud in a fashion where, like, I'm not going to shield this, because I had done too much to that point, and too much had been poured into me for me to downplay who I was or how I was. So yeah, it was intimidating initially, just because there's a standard of excellence.
Yep.
And I quickly realized that my standard of excellence was on par with that one.
Right.
And yeah.
And because that does translate, right? The standard of excellence, but it only translates because of something that you mentioned earlier, which is the incremental work, right? And when you just continue to put theoretically one foot in front of the other, put your head down and do the work, it's not going to bother people that you're showing up as you and that you're being yourself in those rooms. So, and then to that point, the standard of excellence translates. So you fit in this building while standing out, and you're working on the biggest artists in the world who were all on that label at that time. You're working on some of those artists' biggest projects to this day. walk me a little bit into those rooms, and we don't have to mention any particular project or any particular artist, but what was the process like for you when it was album time? Because when it's album time for one of the bigger artists, everything in the building pretty much stops.
Well, for as much as I wasn't a fan of it initially, because no one likes to feel like they're struggling financially, and I wanted the prestige, and I had like,
You wanted the T&E?
I wanted the T&E, and I had the Kanye thing. I was like, damn, these niggas that much better than me?
Yep.
Like, I knew that I could hang and but like, there's work that has to be done. And so like, you don't get the positioning that others get, which now I couldn't be more grateful for the way that my trajectory carried me.
Right.
It was 100% for my benefit. When it came time for those projects, there was no room to falter. You know, like it was offer your idea. It was not best idea. I mean, it was best idea wins.
Yep.
But it had to be best idea presented. And if you didn't, shit was blood sport.
Right.
Like if you didn't offer something that was immediate, like if you didn't say something that stuck.
Yeah.
Or if you didn't present in a way that felt like it carried, or felt like it had some stickiness to it, you were dead in the water. Especially where like your kind of your personal presentation, like who you are, how you present, and what's associated with you, carries just as much as, if not more than, your professional presentation, because your professional presentation is attached to the way that personal presents. So it was, the intimidation went away because I didn't have there was no bandwidth to fail. I didn't allow myself that bandwidth I couldn't allow myself that bandwidth to falter because I was afraid of what that, like, I didn't have another strike to give. So
You didn't want to see the other side of that.
Yeah.
So you're navigating through Def Jam. You're, as they would say, you're getting your chops up. You're building your resume. You're again working biggest artists, their biggest projects. You eventually leave Def Jam. What was your mindset when that happened?
I know that I can do the work. It's time for me to make my name. I needed to make a splash. I needed to have prestige associated, because that felt like the next step that would allow for me to take the work that I had done, the work that I was capable of doing, and wield it in rooms that were large enough and lucrative enough for me to begin building what would be my fortune.
So building.
That's what I thought.
That was your mindset. That may not be what have happened.
The best laid plans of mice and men often go awry. So that's what the intention was.
Yeah. And so you wanted to essentially,
I needed to make my name,
make your name, get what you were worth, and that lands you where?
As general manager for Nick Cannon's Incredible Entertainment.
And while you're there, you have Wildin' Out, you have his electronic products, you have everything that is the brand of Nick, and now you have a lot more, if you will, power. You have a lot more control. You're one of the key decision makers.
I'm closer to the steering wheel.
You're closer to the steering wheel. So you have the ability now to drive a brand in the way that you see fit. How was that for you, coming from where you came from with the machine that was Def Jam to now? It's kind of, you're closer to the steering wheel. You're closer to the fire. So if something doesn't go a certain way, it's easy to come straight to you.
100%.
So how does that work for you, and how does that feel?
It was nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
It was nerve-wracking, but it also wasn't a challenge that I felt unprepared for. It was a challenge that I was ready for. My move to work with Nick came from a place, initially, it came from a place understanding that financially, this would be such a decided step up. The expectation was that financially it'd be a decided step up. And in terms of awareness, this now puts me uniquely in line with having a title, with being positioned, and with having the optics of being a power player. And it was because I knew that I was doing the work at Def Jam.
Yep.
I knew that from Teen Island to research to A&R research, like to new media. That's working backwards from my last post to my first. I had done the work. I had risen. I had gotten attention. I'd been in conversation. I'd been called to LA's office. Like I'd spoken to, where I was like I'd conversed with Jay. Like I was in these rooms having these discussions and contributing in a way that felt meaningful and I had my praises sung. Like I saw the effects of my work. And so my move to Nick was understanding that this would come with the prestige. Or at least the visibility that would bring prestige to the work that I was capable of. And it did. For better or for worse, it absolutely did. I've done things. I've been featured I've been a feature in a television show, like, and for a full season. Like I didn't get paid for it. It's not in syndication though, so we're good.
Yeah.
But if it was, at least my subscription service would have to be free.
Yeah.
I learned production. I got to be a part of creating and launching a television show and produce and write and do all the pieces for a show that still exists on the network. So I got to lay that groundwork and do that and get to a place where now the prestige can match the work. Still that third piece, the financial piece of it. Maybe the money doesn't always match, but I had a headphone brand that was in stores nationwide. In airports. It's
I had those headphones, incredible. No pun.
Being a part of that, bringing that deal to the table, understanding that deal structure. It was each of my first two corporate stops in their own way have very much been like boot camp. Because for better or for worse, they show you how to operate. They show you how to exist and conduct. They showed me how to exist and conduct in business. They showed me what the ins and outs were, how to do, what to look out for, what the pitfalls were, when to say yes, when to say no, when you breathe in, when you don't, when you go under the wire, when you go over. They were 100% boot camp, and each moment was invaluable. For any of them that might have been an absolute headache or might have felt like they were worse in the moment than they were ultimately, there is not a single thing that I would change about change the money. But who would? But there's nothing about the experience that I would ever change.
And that's something that I've always admired about you is your perspective on things and what you because we would speak in these times when you were doing what you were doing, but you obviously you had wanted other things and you would move on, and we talk about growth a lot here, but some of those spaces you were simply outgrowing for whatever reason, whether it be for the financial piece, whether it be for the responsibilities, the prestige, everywhere you were, you in my humble opinion, you kind of outgrew it.
Appreciate that.
But when you were able to look back, you were always able to look back fondly and positively of all the times. And something else that I think that I want to speak to is just when you were there or wherever you were always about bringing your people with you and build. And you talk about it all the time, like you're nothing without your people. You bring, and when you were there, when you were at with Nick and at Incredible, you had this team of people who I say would work with you. They helped you to create all these things, and they loved you and cherished you. How important was that piece for you?
That is the piece. That's
piece.
the whole. That's the puzzle. Like if you're not, if at any point you feel like your work is just for you, then you've completely lost sight of what the work is about. There is none of us who labors alone.
Yeah.
No matter what the pursuit.
Yeah.
And I feel like the very moment that you feel like it's just you is the very moment that you begin to lose touch, and it's the very moment that that downfall begins.
Yeah.
So it's always been an indelible piece of every, like, having, I mean, first off, just from an accountability standpoint.
Right.
So that ability to do my best work, that ability to conduct in the best way possible, that ability to just to know that if it's not the best, it'll be called on. And in looking back, I realized that's always been that's been a theme throughout my life. Like that is the unifying thread throughout my entire existence. Whether it's my mother with education, whether it's my sister with how you speak to people, like there has always been this blessing of accountability and knowing that at no moment can that be allowed to falter.
Right. And it's so important, the accountability piece with yourself, obviously, and how you carry yourself, but also with those people and at these places you've been, right? Because more important than any work you do is who you are, right? And how you make people feel. And you've been a master at everywhere you've been, every room you've been in is just making people feel like somebody, right? Like you said, like we spoke about off air, like you'll talk to anybody, right? You'll give anybody advice. You'll guard your access and things of that nature, but you'll always give people advice. And I attribute that to, just like you said, your experiences of boot camp, where it's like they taught you what to do and what not to do, how to move, when to say yes, when to say no. So now you're much deeper into your career. You've been to a couple of different companies, a couple of different brands, but now I feel like you're finally in that position of power, prestige. You get whatever you want financially. You're calling the shots where you're going. First part of that question is, how does it feel like that to you?
In moments, it does. There are always going to be, I can't call them old habits. There's always going to be structural understandings where you just, like, it just kicks in. Like Chappelle had this joke of that, like, every time you do a crime, there's an old black man that hops out. Like, oh, no, nigga, don't do that. That's 5 to 10.
Yeah.
You know, like, there's always going to be that kind of, that I'll always have that little bell. That'll keep me from doing things like spending $1,000 on a PS5. You know, like,
You did that.
I didn't. No,
Okay,
I
good,
didn't.
good.
I was approached with that price.
I was going to judge you.
No, I was like, oh, $1,000, nigga, absolutely. But then I'm still saying I'll only buy tuna fish when it's on sale.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so
Right.
there will always kind of be these understandings of just best practice.
Yep.
You know, it's not like, I'm not cheap, but I know the value of $1.
Yep.
I know that everything is temporary unless guarded against properly. I know market behavior. I know I've been at rock bottom. I've used my debit card as a credit card in an LIRR vending machine so that I could get home understanding that if I just made it through these few days, that another check would hit and I'd be able to, at least tread water for a little bit longer. So, and I've been in places where opportunity has been pulled from me unceremoniously.
Right.
So I'm always aware that there's always a fall on the other side, and it's never in how you're pushed to that fall. It's always in how you prepare for that fall. And so I can tap dance on the edge, or I can walk gracefully and gingerly with an awareness that there is a fall, not fearfully, but can conduct and carry myself in a way that I know the ledge, but don't let it be my undoing.
Whew. Man.
So, just always kind of keep the presence that, as good as things are, or keep the presence of mind that as good as things are, fucked up is right there.
Yeah.
And that goes for all things. That's professional, that's personal, that's financial.
Absolutely.
Like as good, as great as things are,
it's you're a day away.
To be Bobby Brown then, you got to be Bobby Brown now.
And my dad would always say that when we were growing up, is like, yo, you're a day away. Either like you're a day away from your dreams, you're a day away from sleeping on the street, you're a day away from an athlete, you're a day away from a career-ending injury, you're a day away from the biggest opportunity of your life. And that's, if you keep that perspective that you're always a day away, it'll allow you to not only, like you said, move gingerly and know that fall is coming, but also to be present in everything that you do. And that's something that you excel at as well, is just being present in every moment, every conversation. And it's something that brings me to ask you, in all that you've done and everywhere that you've been, everyone that you've worked with, everyone that you've done great things with, what are you most proud of?
I have to pick one thing.
It doesn't have to be anything like super specific.
You're the host, total hard line.
Yeah, you can.
Say it's just one thing. Make it difficult.
One thing.
There we go.
One thing.
Peace.
One thing.
Just because you got the yellow on, don't mean you got to be as kind as the man in the yellow hat. I'm saying Curious George, you put your fucking fist down. One thing, nigga.
Nah.
My mom doesn't have to worry, man. And that's like,
That's it.
It's like, that's not lost on me, that she's like, there's pride, and it's outside of seeing me in outside of any press, right up, like in the times that I've been blessed to have been in any of the trades, me being on TV, like it's not the typical or the usual, look at my baby doing good pride. It's like, she knows, like, outside of a diploma on the wall, my mom knows that, and it's, that's my everything.
Yeah.
And like the fact that she doesn't have to worry. Like, she doesn't have to take me by a group home and say, like, if you keep messing up, this is where I'm going to have to drop you off. She doesn't have to bail me out because I try to scam a PlayStation at my job.
Right.
Like she doesn't have to worry. She knows that our conversations now are, and they have been for years, but they're so light, and they're light in terms of just like the love and illuminated, not light in terms like there's always going to be those heavy moments, but it's she doesn't have to worry, and my sister doesn't have to threaten me, thankfully. It's 1A and 1B. But yeah, she's like, I visit and I'm home, and it's like she still does the things. Like I don't brag, because that's not who I am. But I could confidently quote Jay-Z lyrics right now. Like, I'm doing that well financially. But no, I was home. I was home recently in
Yep.
COVID, and like having not seen family, having moved out west. Family is that's me. That's my
Right.
backbone. So
Right.
being and we go out, and it's like, oh yeah, well, like let's go out to eat. Let's do this. Like yes, here's my card.
Absolutely.
It's paid for.
Yeah.
Now some of those times they were expensed.
Right. T&E.
Gotta be me. Shout out to the CFO. I always wanted to do that. I've always felt like Zach Morris just talking to the other wall.
Yeah.
It's like,
It's the best thing.
but yeah, like she like hits me on the side. She's like, so hey, like, is everything like, are you still like, are you good? Like,
Yeah.
Are you taking care of? I was like, yeah, like I'm
Straight.
like I'm good.
straight,
Like
man.
I'm good. Like I let her when I got. She always knows about my offers.
Yep.
So I've been blessed to have taken some jumps with my last few posts.
Yep.
My last few professional posts, and like I'll send it. My mom, my sister, that's my brain trust.
Right.
And then it goes to my attorney, it
Yep.
goes to my accountant, like it goes to everybody else, like
Yep.
when like the negotiating and the push happens. But like when I get that first like initial offer, it goes to my mom and my sister. It's right
amazing.
on our group thread, which I'm sure might be grounds for me getting sued.
Yeah.
But they can't access my phone. Who gives a fuck?
Not yet.
No,
Not until you get the vaccine. Not until they put the chip
I'll
in you.
cough right now, nigga. Fuck you. But yeah, but like even knowing that I'm doing well,
Yeah.
like knowing that she knows where I've been,
Yep.
and she know, and even when I was there, I wouldn't lean or ask
Right.
for help just because like it didn't feel right,
Right.
and I would rather struggle than remove anyone else from their comfort.
Yep.
And so like she's like, hey, so like are you like you're? I was like, oh, Mom.
Straight.
Like
sure.
I was like, oh, what this little $500 weekend?
Yeah, it's
please.
okay.
I check my balance
Please.
the whole time. I still don't spend $500 easily. That's just not me.
Yeah.
But still niggerish. So I'll walk around with a couple hundred for a dice game.
Yeah.
It's me.
Balance. You know the value of a dollar.
I do, and I also know the appreciation of other people's.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like really, like knowing that she had to tell them jokes to get them tears off me.
Yeah. No, I'm crying with you. I got one right here. It's because it's just so beautiful because I feel that, and just knowing all that, and like you laying it out earlier with all that she did for your childhood and all that she did to get you to those points, and to know that you're now affording her peace.
Yeah,
that is huge. Like
that's more invaluable.
It's more valuable than a house.
And I ask
more
about
valuable
all
than
of the things. I'm like, what would make, and like if you want it, you got it. That's why Christmas is so tough, because like gift giving happens year round.
Yep.
Like I'll send a case of sneakers
Yep.
to my nephews and my brother-in-law.
Yep.
And like if you want it and it can happen, it's there. So like but knowing that that's there, that just like her Facebook page, just like, look at my son, like look at what he's, and it's just like, and even like, and now it's like it's a mother's pride, and it's just like and it shines through, like with my health journey, with every part, like she's just like, it's hers. Like any bit of success I have is 100% with mincing no words. It is directly attributed to Juanita and Joelle. It is my sister. It is my mother. It is why they are right here. It is my one visible tattoo, so that if I'm wearing, like, no matter what, I always see
it.
Like if I'm in a meeting, it's right there. Like that. Those are, instead of wearing my angels on my shoulder, I wear them on my hand, and they're my earthbound angel. And I see at every given moment, I am aware of their presence, of their sacrifice, and I am acutely aware of their ease and their ability, just them knowing that they did good, like their work, like there's proof in their concept.
It's done well.
What they've, like
It's done well.
So that is without question single-handedly the one thing that I'm proudest of, is knowing that they are proud of me and that they are comfortable and in a terrific place with where I am.
That is incredible and emotional to even to even receive and for me to be a witness, third party of your love for your family and your love for your mother and your sister and how you guys just interact. It's beautiful to watch. And, so I can only imagine for you, like just the beauty in partaking in that, daily. And then to see all that you've not only done, but all that you've overcome and all that your journey is nowhere near done, but just the amount of things that you've been able to persevere through, bounce back from, go through. Like we talk about your health journey all the time and just how inspiring that is. Like when you just up in one day said, I'm done drinking. And you were so sure about it. There was no waffling. There wasn't, and as your friends, we would feel like dummies even trying to like, yo, let me buy you a shot because you were just that firm and like it was just so inspiring to watch. And like you touched on it and I didn't want to go this entire time and not speak about those intentional, deliberate changes you've made in your life. So for people who don't know, you work out like a maniac.
Yes, I do. Guilty as not like a maniac so much anymore, just because gyms aren't a thing.
Well, COVID, but
it did start out with just because I realized that, and this came from, I think this was something that came about early on in not doing the work, whether it was with school or like being able to coast, understanding that I had to be just that intentional about the work that I was doing in order for real change to happen.
Yep.
And that's why the drinking cold turkey, because I was, and I'm sorry, I was a dick about it a lot. Jamal, let's get a shot. No, I'm not fucking drinking.
Yeah.
The first time that I did no carb, I would be in a cigar lounge with a plate of chicken and salad with no dressing, and it was judgmental. It was a little bit dicky, a little bit. There's still that part of me. I was raised Baptist. Sorry, guilt is what I do. But yeah, no, it was. I realized that I had to, and it was more about being stern with myself, and so there was just kind of like those, there's collateral damage with that, and people get kind of that sternness. And now I've, plenty of fun now. I drink water straight from the bottle.
And so you've never been more fun, and you've never been more of a joy to be around than you are now. And like I said, even like me witnessing that as someone who's fought on that hill a lot and struggled with that a lot. It was just so motivational for me to see someone make that decision, stand firm in that decision, not be peer pressured, not waver. And what it showed me was just a man who was choosing himself over and over again, over the good time, over the acceptance, over, the peer pressure. You were just continuing to choose yourself. And even like if there were times with dieting or working out when you would acknowledge, I fell off for this time, but I'm back and I'm doing these things and I'm this challenge and that. And it was just, I don't think I've ever told you this in person, but for me, it's just been so inspiring to watch you do that. And as someone who, as I'm continuing my walk, trying to choose myself over and over again, depending, whatever that looks like, it's just been something to watch. So thank you for being a beacon as always.
Thank you.
Like I said, we joke 25 hours a day, 8 days a week, but just the appreciation that I have for you and our relationship, it goes to astronomical levels as just someone that I look to in that realm. So I wanted to tell you, thank you for sure on that, man. And I'm out of questions.
Okay.
I have one left.
Please. You're not out of questions.
No.
I got one question left. Should have been.
Yeah, I have one question left. See, training. See, this is the media training I be
Look
needing.
at that. See, I'm once or twice, man. Once or twice.
I get something every time.
See, I'm holding the mic like a professional. I'm holding this shit. I look like a young black Nick Cannon with the mic in my head, boy.
So the last question that we do, and this is random, but not nothing that I say is random, but this is just something that like gives me.
It's random to them.
It's random to everyone here, and it gives me just a little more of a like a telescope into your psyche. Okay. Favorite TV character of all time and why?
Fuck. They always say they don't ever ask the difficult question first. No,
last one.
Damn, can I? My mom. Can I ask that one again?
You can't. Your mom this one.
Shit. Favorite TV character of all time.
Any genre.
And why? Any genre.
Any genre.
Oh, man. Earl from Dinosaurs. The father from Dinosaurs. Oh, fuck, wait. No, wait. Shit. This one got me
to make you feel
up.
it stumps everyone. No one has come out and answered it cleanly. That's valid.
Al Bundy. I think he and Earl exist there. I feel like they are one side of the same coin.
Yep.
Just maybe one is a bit more polished than the other. And I think it's because Earl is that more polished coin, only because he didn't have the human element to him or the full human element. So I'm going to say Al Bundy. There was this complexity of character for Al that was never given its full just due. It's very easy to tear apart and to pick at him living in the past. It's very easy to tear apart and pick at his shortcomins. Excuse me, still not COVID. As a man, that was a burp though. That was sea moss protein shake. In case y'all wondering, anybody keep a score at home? There was much made about his shortcomings or his perceived shortcomings because he didn't have as much money as Marcy, or he wasn't as handsome as her kept men husbands, or as young and vibrant as her kept men, or didn't have like the seemingly endless allowance. But he poured into his family, and he poured into his family at every turn, bar none, and that love looked different depending on the day. Which weirdly enough, and I've delved into not way too much. I've delved into a good amount of television discussion in the midst of pandemic between these tiers and everything else. There's been a lot of character discovery because I am a nerd about everything, just about. So I've gotten deep into it. There is this complexity of character about Al where he's fiercely dedicated. He not once stepped out on his wife, though he had all the reason to. He only ever loved and protected his kids, even though they were selfish imbeciles. He was good to his dog, even though his dog fucking hated him. You know, like he worked diligently at a job that did not honor him, but he took pride in it. And every so often, he liked to reminisce on a time where he was on top of the world.
Pokai.
Where, you know, like 4 touchdowns in a game is actually a phenomenal feat.
I would still tell that story too.
Like a motherfucker. And I'd put the jack. Y'all lucky that I ain't wear just the jock strap and a cleat with one high sock when I told the story. You know what I'm saying? Like I'd make people put on pads. I'd be like, everybody dress up like a lineman. We gonna
so I can show y'all this again.
You know, like all he ever wanted was he wanted his club just because he wanted to connect with people. And even then he didn't do it. That was more born of his frustration. No man was his frustration with the woman in his life who didn't afford him the unconditional and unbridled love that he afforded them. So Al Bundy.
Al
and
Bundy.
I know, there's some black Israelites out there that's gonna get mad at me for choosing a white man. But I don't spend that much time by the E train at Parsons and Archer anymore, so
You good.
You niggas can't get me.
You good.
And I'm not in Harlem trying to get my
Yeah,
hair
you don't
braided
ever
still,
go to 125th, so you're good.
So y'all are good. No, I do go to 125th.
Okay.
I don't go often. At this rate, I'm going to 125th about an average of once every 4 years.
Yeah. Well, there's Red Lobster up there now.
That shit.
In a
we,
lot.
Oh, we did that one. Oh, we did Red Lobster so dirty when it unlimited lobster when that motherfucker the lobster feast when that shit first. We did that foul.
That was incredible. That was incredible.
I was in there in a terrible cardigan. This was during my cardigan with V-neck phase. Don't you dare cut that camera off. You about to get
Nah, this is the best part.
It was my cardigan and V-neck phase, and I had one sleeve rolled up. And I was in there with a lobster bib, and the lobsterita was out, and all we had to pay for was drinks. And I just caught a lick because I had just done my expenses, so I had $200 in American cash. And the Cheddar Bay biscuits were free flowing, and we were in there. It was me. It was
painting
Cam.
that picture. We was in there.
It was we were in there. Our homegirl who did was just like, hey, so I've got this client and this Red Lobster, and I said, I'll do it.
Yep.
Didn't even know what it
Red
was.
Lobster. You had me at Red Lobster.
It could have been a Tuskegee experiment, and damn it, we would have got the vaccine that night because I never pulled up to Harlem so fast.
And people, you didn't come to Harlem like that back then.
No, I didn't. I was bald by that point. When I went to Harlem heavy in college when I was getting my hair braided, and then my hairline
betrayed
did the
you.
icky shuffle right away. So like, fuckers, I'm gonna go back. Like I'm gonna go back to relive those memories.
To the scene of the crime.
I'm not. I don't need. Being in Harlem, standing right by St. Nick Ave, by the 125 bar, smoking a Newport, just pointing at hair braiding places with Africans standing out, be like,
sick about it.
There. No, I'm not fucking going back for, but I went back for that lobster feast and tipped $30. That's how good I was feeling. And I even took a cab back to Penn Station.
You're feeling glorious.
Oh man.
Nah, you just took me back. The lobster.
It was a time.
That was a time. They definitely got to put the vaccine in the Cheddar Bay, man. That's the only way.
If they did, I would never cough again in my life.
Never. We'd be able to get through an episode.
Yeah, 100%. We wouldn't because the Cheddar Bay. I'd have butter stains on my shorts and little cheese crystals in my jewelry.
All right, there's one more thing. I know I said
please
one
look
more.
at you. Wow. Look at the surprise guy.
We just need this is
all right, third to last question. Let's get into it.
This is how we tie it all together.
All right.
Over here. So we've journeyed through your life. You've painted quite the picture for us. And last thing I need for you to do as Jamal sits here today, you get to go back and visit 7-year-old Jamal. What's one thing that you would tell him with all of your experience, all the walls, all the strikes? What's the one thing you would tell 7-year-old Jamal now as he comes back from sleepaway camp?
Gratitude is a real thing. And you might not feel like it's like you will have your moments, you will go through your selfish spells, but take a step outside of yourself and realize just how blessed you are to have no shortage of people, aunts, uncles, like you are rich with people who pour into you at constant. And it's not going. I mean, how long I got with me? Because I would lecture this nigga until he was 17. But at no point is any of this to your detriment.
Yep.
It is always for the betterment of you and for the best of you.
Amazing.
Understand that, appreciate it, and be kind about it. And things are going to be okay.
Yeah. Great advice for 37-year-olds.
Great
It's great
advice.
advice.
It's advice that I lean on at Constant.
Yeah.
At 39, it is.
Yeah.
It's advice that there hasn't been a moment where I haven't turned to that understanding that there is nothing that comes from love.
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing that comes from genuine care
Mm-hmm.
that won't be exactly what you need, even if it doesn't feel like it's exactly what you need in that moment. Or if it's exactly what you want in that moment. It will always be what you need in that moment.
Yeah, it's a fact. It's a fact.
You see, I got the
a
congregation.
fact.
Yeah, you see, that's how you know.
I don't know what that
Pass the collection plate around real quick. That's when
that was a little too loud
that
for
was
me.
that was a building
That
fund.
was- yeah, that
you
was
bugging out. That's when the pastor pull up in a brand new
There was going to be a little throat
Hyundai
clear with that
Elantra.
too. So
Yeah,
I don't know. We'll talk about that after. But yo, sincerely, bro, thank you.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you. This was great. Fed my soul. Fed my heart.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you providing and the room for this conversation and having this conversation with me. It's not things that I've thought to tap into, and certainly didn't anticipate crying the whole way home, but here we are. So,
Well, you are the first person to cry.
I appreciate that. Thankfully, I got gym clothes in the car, so I can just dry my eyes.
Yeah, you're wearing black. You good?
Yeah. But no, man, truly, thank you. And I'm proud of you.
Family, thank you.
Always.
Appreciate you.
Always.
Yes, sir. All right. Another episode in the books. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to subscribe on all channels, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, Handcrafted Pod. See you guys next time.
This is where we do like a swipe up.